This is what it had to be. It had to be.
I think it had to be. I was looking.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Targeting Podcast, Christmas edition. As always, like and subscribe. Boys, how are we doing today?
Absolutely great. NBA is back, baby. Let's go Seas. Let's go
NBA's
Seas.
back. We love
They
how
have
everyone
suits.
has fun. We
What'd
love
you
how
say?
everyone has fun, except Justin. But
Yeah, well, you guys went ahead and bought these Christmas suits without me, so I'm just repping the green, like always.
love to hear. Love to hear. We hope everyone had a happy holidays, and yeah, we got a lot of good stuff to talk about this week, boys. Do you guys all want to start? We'll start with the player of the week as always. Justin, you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah. By the way, I'm in Florida right now, so that's why the background is the way that it is. Different scenery. Yeah. But yeah, my athlete of the week. There were a lot of great NBA games, a lot of great performances, a lot of great football too, but it's not close. It's Alvin Kamara from last night on Christmas Day. 6 touchdowns, ties an NFL record for rushing touchdowns in a game ever. 172 yards with those 6 TDs. I mean, this guy, he was ridiculous. Whoever had him in your fantasy championships, congratulations. Yeah, pretty incredible week from him.
Crazy. John, you want to go?
Yep.
John shoving cranberries down his throat, but go ahead.
So, I got 2 guys on my mind. I'm gonna pull a Justin here, and since he went with Kamara, not gonna copy him, but I would give it a Kamara. But I'm actually gonna go with someone else. I'm gonna go with someone in the NBA. Little biased, but I'm going with Jason Tatum. He goes off with 30 points against the Bucks, and he gets the game winner. And then last night, even though we had a tough loss, he pulls up an unbelievable 3 with like barely any seconds left on that shot clock and gets it right in. Just unbelievable. He didn't have any
Kyrie's
time
head.
on
Right on
Kyrie's head. And I got to give it to Jason Tatum for that. It was he really carried the team with Kemba out, and you got a balance between Jalen and him. Still a tough loss, though. We got to really work on guarding KD, and Kyrie was we got to really work on that as well. But I have to say, and again, we're going to get into this, but Jerry and I both were talking about this. I underrated the Nets a lot. I didn't think they were good.
Oh, I did too. And we'll definitely talk about Celtics Nets and just the way the opening season is gone. So we'll get into that for sure.
David, who's your player of the week, or it could be your fantasy player of the week?
Oh, I was tied also between Jason Tatum and Alvin Kamara, but I'm going to give it to Alvin Kamara. Just 6 touchdowns record. That's just crazy. And I'll give you the player of the week. That goes to him as well. 52 points. I'm done. I don't even have a chance in fantasy now facing Justin, who has him. So you hate to see that, but
hate to see it.
Jason Tatum, that game against the Bucks, he kind of just proved to me that I think he's going to be a really clutch guy going forward. Not that he hasn't proved that to me before, but that was just really eye-opening. It was like, wow, okay, he's going to do this for us. It was tough against the Nets. Like mid-game, it was really close, and then KD just starts lighting it up, and it's like, okay, what are you going to do about it?
And you can't be having Kyrie pull up almost half court, throwing up a 3 and just swishing it. You can't have that.
Oh, he had a couple of those. He went off.
He went off. And you know what? There's a hard way to guard that. That's just him being clutch, and I hate to admit it because I hate Kyrie. At the end of the day, you got to tip your cap on those ones. But other than that, you can't be letting him. There was one where he just came completely in the paint and just spun around and just laid it up when it would have been easy, just deep. I don't know.
He's incredible. Yeah. What about you, Jerry?
My player of the week, I mean, you have to give it to Kamara. I mean, he played insane. Like I saw his first touchdown and it looked so easy, and I was like, I don't know how he doesn't do this all game. And then he just did it all game. The Vikings really had no answer for how to stop that. And I thought they would. I honestly came into the game, I was like, the Vikings always usually find a way, like some weird way to beat the Saints. So I was like, maybe the Vikings win this game.
Nah, but they always do that because of the rules.
That's true.
And
sideline.
Dig, sideline, touchdown. All right, but
it had to be done.
Kamara went right up the gut with that first touchdown. I was like, I don't think he's going to be stopped tonight. Because when you think about it, when the Saints the only thing that was stopping the Saints from really absolutely crushing them, the Saints honestly should have had 2 or 3 more touchdowns on top of those, because they were in their zone at least 2 or 3 more times, and Breeze just threw complete interceptions that were just terrible. And Kamara would have had a 7th touchdown if he had caught the reception. I don't know if you saw that one. He missed a reception touchdown. So
yeah,
I think it was a great game by the Saints. I think the Saints really came out to play with that one. And again, they still kicked butt. I mean, they still had an unbelievable game. That was really an offensive game in that aspect. I don't think the defense is really, I mean, they played, but offenses really showed up. Hell of a game though, on that front. Kamara definitely came out and won that game for them easily. When you're there in the 10, 15-yard line, you got to rush it up. A lot of teams can get stopped there, and you got a guy like him just pounding through. Those are not easy touchdowns, but for him, it just looked like it was just he was playing Little League.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, definitely. I want to show the Diggs play, but I feel like it's gonna lag. So I'll
it might lag, but just so everyone knows.
Everyone's seen it. Everyone's
seen it. Everyone hates it. Rams got screwed too. I think that exact same year or the year before, I forget, but everyone knows.
I don't think it was the same year.
I think it was the year after the year before, one of those. But
yeah,
I feel like it's always the NFC, especially. It just seems like it. It seems like the NFC gets screwed, but
he had a crazy game. But yeah, we'll move on to Justin's stat of the week. Justin, what do you got for us this week?
Yeah, all right. So I've got it's like a number of things that all just revolve around Shaq. So obviously when Shaq was playing, just disgusting free throw shooter, one of the worst of all time. And he shot basically career average around 50% from the free throw line, which is really terrible. The league average is about 75%. So had he shot the league average 75%, he would have 7 scoring titles instead of 2, including taking 2 away from Michael Jordan in 96 and 97. He would have 31,251 total career points instead of the 28,000 that he has now, which would put him at 8th all time in scoring in all of NBA history. Obviously, it didn't take long in his career for teams to start adopting the hack-a-Shaq.
Yeah.
And just would just intentionally foul him every time up the floor to make him go shoot free throws, and it was just his kryptonite. He couldn't do it. So to just think if he had just been a league average free throw shooter, how the greatness that his career could have even been, even though he has had one of the greatest careers ever and is probably the best center. I'm not gonna say that he's one of the best centers of all time. There's so many unbelievable centers. I don't even want to get into that. But
there are a lot more that are way better. But
yeah, the most dominant center of all time. Period. Whether he was a league average free throw shooter or not, he was still the most dominant center ever. But just if he had been able to shoot even 75%, the difference it could have made in his career, he definitely would have cemented himself as one of the greatest to ever do it.
It's a very underrated thing.
Yeah, I'm surprised he never really caught on. I thought his teams were fouling him in the third quarter
so often.
Just trying
to did it. They honestly just did it just to fuck with him, just so that he had to go to the line. And he just had
teams would be down. No, teams would be down by 20, 30, and they're like, "All right, we're not gonna come back on our own. We're gonna just hack them."
It became a strategy across the whole league.
Literally.
It was just.
I mean, it worked.
I know.
I'm surprised.
Here's the thing, though. I'm surprised that a guy like that, you don't sit down and you don't just work on that. Something. You don't have I don't even know.
I'm sure
I'm not a basketball player.
You gotta think that he tried, but
you have off days and on days, but you really gotta. If you're shooting 50%, you gotta get that at least a 60, maybe. For a guy like him, for a big man, he got to be shooting higher than that. I mean, you look at it's different now, but you look at Giannis, Zion. These guys are shooting pretty well at the line.
Actually, it's funny you didn't mention that because watching that Bucks game yesterday on Christmas Day, Giannis was
not that game,
horrible from the free throw line. It's even a good point that you brought up though, is that Giannis, I think Giannis is a career 60% free throw shooter, and I don't know that Zion's anything special at it. And LeBron is a career 60% free throw shooter too. People just don't knock down their free throws. Come on,
they don't knock them down, but Giannis will usually make them in moments like he should have the other night, but. For some reason, the other night, Jerry was talking about it too. He shoots one of them, and then he just completely misses the other one.
It's not a very appreciated skill among players. You're never gonna be he drains his free throw. That's not something.
But
it's not. But it's very important because and Justin, I'll try to find the stat for you. But it would be interesting to find statistics on how many missed free throws actually end up hurting teams, because especially in the games that are only down by 10 points, if
Oh,
every
it
player
really-
on your
I'm
if
sure
every player
it's
on your
hurt a lot.
roster missed one out of their 2 free throws that they go to the line, that ends up being the game. So it's interesting how much impact that has, but no one really recognizes it because it's not something you immediately think about. Because like if he makes the first one, he misses the second one, it's like, all right, well, he made one. And then the next player does that, and the next player does that, and the next player does that. That's 4 missed points you had on that you could have had. So
you listening? Jerry's an unreal free throw shooter, so that's
I
why.
am not an unreal free. I was earlier in my career. It's tough because it's literally the easiest shot in basketball, in my opinion, next to the layup.
You can overthink it. That's the thing. That's the whole
That's
thing
the
with it.
problem. You can overthink it.
But the argument for it is, I mean, if you're not guarded, you're just sitting there. You got to make those shots.
Well,
it's literally like you're sitting outside shooting outside.
It's the next easiest shot to a layup because it's you in the basket, and it's not even that far. It's not the 3-point line.
But again, it's overthought, and then also you got people like me over on the sidelines just absolutely screwing with you.
Exactly.
Reading your name right off the roster.
So it's tough. I think it's an underrated skill, but not enough players like spend time on it. But like the players that do, you appreciate it. Like Steph Curry. Like as soon as he goes to the line, it's 2 automatic. No thought about it. And it's tough. I mean, I think eventually it will become more appreciated, but you are right. As size goes up, I don't think a lot of players, because a lot of players are so talented, they can get a bucket whenever they want. So they're not really thinking free throws. But at the end of the day, that's what wins games.
Is anyway, and it's just like, what's next? Like, I wonder what they're gonna kind of deviate away from.
Well, they've already done that. Like from the they don't play a lot of like, you don't see a lot of players like driving. I mean, you see players driving the paint, but there's not a lot of paint being like basketball. Like it's just moved out to the 3. Yeah. Like that's like the main shot selection now.
Yeah, definitely not a lot of post play.
Yeah, I just feel like you gotta. It's one of those things, whether it's old school, new school basketball, it doesn't matter what you're talking about. You can go back again. We haven't seen all those games, but I'm sure if you look back at those Shaq games, there are probably a number of games where if he shot 75% league average, they would have won a game if they lost it, depending on what the score was. But I can think of a lot of games nowadays where guys like that, like Giannis, this is a perfect example. Honestly, whether Jason Tatum probably hits that buzzer beater or not, if Giannis makes those, it's one of those things where if you make those 2 free throws, it's a what if, but you kind of change the momentum. You might get the ball back again, and then you're up by 4 points now. Yeah. And then a buzzer beater is not going to do anything. So it's kind of a momentum shift, and you losing one of those, it's one.
Well, and the other thing about those 2 guys, Shaq and Giannis, is that Giannis is second in the league behind James Harden in free throw shooting per game, and Shaq was number 1 in free throw shooting per game. When he was playing for like 10 seasons in a row or something like that. And that, don't fact check me on that. Something crazy like that. I was looking it up this morning, and like when you shoot over 10 free throws a game, it is so important to make them. Like at that point, it's one thing if you're shooting 2 or 3 free throws a game, you're shooting 60%, but these are guys that are leading the league in free throw shots and just not making them.
Yeah,
so it's tough. It's underappreciated, like you said, Jerry, but it decides games. So
if you're getting 10 shots a game, that's 10 points right there that your team. Or honestly, if you get 5 of those 10, like you get something. I hate when there are guys though at the line. Like sometimes you see it where some guy gets fouled a lot more. He gets like 6 shots at the line and he only makes like 1. That is outrage. I don't care who you are and what your free throw shooting is. You got to make 6 of those, or you got to make 4 of those. You got to make something. Because your team is relying on those easy points.
It's just something that not enough teams pay attention to, and I don't think they will until, I don't know. I think it will be like a culture thing. Like until there's like a center that comes out here and just starts making all their free throws, I don't think any team's gonna really pay that much attention to it. It's like the shot selection I was talking about earlier. There's not a lot of post play. There's more 3-point shooting. Like Myers Leonard took a 3-pointer, and I didn't even know Myers Leonard shot threes. Like. If that size of guy was in the NBA like 10, 20 years ago, he would be in the paint trying to get the ball in the basket like almost every time. And I just think it's just interesting like how that has changed over the course of the NBA. But I don't know.
No, yeah, I think it's interesting when as you move on, you see these like the old school basketball. You just saw guys like besides Larry Bird. I mean, even Larry Bird would get in the paint. Like all these big guys are still going and charging into the paint. Like it's still a big.
Jeez, I don't know what just happened. Sorry about that, boys.
Oh, good. Yeah, Justin. We just lost Justin for a little bit, but we're good.
I was just looking at two lovely Justins there instead of
my
one.
bad. My bad. I don't know what that happened. I don't know.
I was like, Justin joined in on another screen, and I was like, "Oh man, we got like the movie Unfriended." I was like,
I thought someone random was joining it. I was literally like, what the?
And I was like, what the hell? But yeah.
I thought it was going to be like one of your professors, Jerry, or something, because we're on his Virginia Zoom.
Yeah, I literally was. I don't know what that. I was like, I don't know.
No, yeah.
No, but all I was saying, Justin, I don't know if you heard me, but I'm just saying that those old school players like Larry Bird, like Magic, I mean, still guys that can shoot, but they're still going to the paint. Like now, a lot of guys that shoot just stay outside the arc. They just shoot.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting.
The game's different.
The game's different, and it's going to keep evolving. But I think, like Justin really brought it up, like if you're shooting that many free throws, you got to learn to make at least 70% of those.
Well, yeah, and like I said, the difference is 7 scoring titles instead of 2, and probably a couple more MVPs for Shaq too. I mean, it's just, knock down your shots.
Definitely winning more games too. Like,
exactly. Some more titles maybe. So like, yeah.
I mean, who is? Oh my God, yeah, I didn't even think it was this high. I thought it was pretty high. I didn't think it was this high. Steve Nash free throw percentage, 90.43%. I thought it was like 88. That's just unbelievable. This is a guy who just literally just focused on free throws and just.
Yeah, Nash is one of the best to ever shoot free throws ever. Him and Steph Curry are the best.
Again, I can't say everyone's going to shoot 90. I mean, that's just outrageous. I'm not going to expect that, but I'm expecting people to shoot at least 70.
75.
Right.
I mean, that's a fair percentage.
No, that's just
right.
That's just my take on that Bucks Celtics game. I mean, especially I think that game would have gone a lot different if Giannis had at least shot better at the line, honestly. And a lot of things could have changed that game. I think definitely Tatum clutched up with those 30 points and Jalen with the 33. But
yeah,
I think Giannis could have taken that game for them.
Yeah, I can get into my hot take. I'll
go ahead.
I have something to say on that, John. So I'll start with that. It's just something minor. I don't think Giannis wanted to play in overtime.
No.
Really?
What do you mean?
Really? Whoa. What are you saying here?
Here, let me.
Is this your hot take?
So he didn't have to play.
This isn't my hot take, but it was something I was thinking about, and I wasn't going to mention it unless somebody talked about it, and they did. So here's the thing, right?
All right.
We all saw the game, or we at least saw the ending of the game.
I saw the ending. I did see the ending.
It was 120. I believe it was 122 to 121 at this point, right? All Giannis had to do was make another free throw. The first one was cash. Okay, it wasn't like a little dripping or whatever.
I know where you're going with this.
You all saw the last free throw. It was front rim, right? And he jumped. He tried to get the ball back and he tried to put it in. Watch the replay.
But why was it 0.4 seconds or something?
It was 0.4.
Was it more than that? I don't know.
No, it was like 0.4, 0.5.
Jerry and I were talking about this. He didn't have enough time to put it up, but he tried.
He didn't have enough time to put it up. So my whole opinion was he didn't want to. I don't know if he didn't want to go in overtime, but he was definitely just trying to win the game to get it over with. He didn't want to play in overtime because
honestly, though. Wait
a minute. Let me just say, if the Bucks made that free throw and we went in overtime, I don't know if we would have won in overtime.
I know we would have.
Okay. Well,
Jason.
All right. Everyone ignored Justin's amazing Boston spirit, but all things aside, I do hear what Jerry's saying, Justin and Dame. But the thing that really makes me not think that he would do that, and I know that he jerked forward. I think it was just honestly, what I'm thinking is he's going up for that shot, and I think he's contemplating that, Jerry. But he's looking at the time. He's got 0.4 seconds, and I think at the last second, he decides not to. He misses the shot, and then he goes in for it. But here's the thing, Jerry. When you go for that ball with 0.4 seconds, you don't have enough time to grab it and throw it up. Like, you literally would have to just, granny shot it.
Yeah, but that's my point. That's my point. There was 0.4 seconds. 0.4 of a second. You are not going to get the ball back. The only way you win this game right now in regulation is if it somehow gets to one of your players and they tip it in. But that's that's so hard to do. So
that isn't true, though. That isn't true. If that were the only way if there were 2.5 seconds left, I would say this take would be more realistic because maybe they did want to win it, and there is actually a chance of you putting it back up and in. But the only way to win in regulation at that point for them with 0.4 seconds was there is no way to win in regulation. You either go to overtime and get your best bet in. Yeah. You have to make the free throw. And I will say that I know the first one was cash. and that might make you a little bit sus about why he missed the second one so badly. Except then yesterday when they played the Warriors, I watched Giannis go 4 of 12 from the free throw line, how badly he shoots them. It just happens.
Independent games. Those are independent games.
I know they're independent games, but I'm saying Giannis's free throw stroke is what I'm talking about. He can miss that badly, and he does it.
He cash, but he doesn't shoot that well all the time.
If you are comparing these two games, then Justin, and here's my hypothesis on that. If he missed 4 of 12, right?
Well, that was in the middle of the game. I saw them flash yesterday. He ended up shooting more free throws than that, but at one point he was 4 of 12.
Fine. But at that point in the game, we'll talk about at that point of the game.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're comparing these two games, then maybe that free throw from that last game affected him on this game.
I just don't think it's realistic for him to step up to the line saying, all right, I'm gonna miss it intentionally, and we're gonna get a tip for the win with less than half a second. I don't think he would ever, as an MVP.
That's what I'm saying. It's not realistic. That's what I'm saying. It's not realistic. He should have just tried his best to make the free throw.
I will say this for Jerry though: if there's any one player that I think that's gonna
wait a minute, wait one sec, John. It wasn't like it just hit front rim and then went down. Like it wasn't like
leaning forward too.
It wasn't short. He leaned forward and it was a beeline off the front rim.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't.
So, Dame, are you agreeing with him, Dame?
It's making me think because that's when I saw him take that free throw and it hit the front rim and he was leaning forward. I'm like, that's kind of weird. I almost thought he was going to go for it. Like,
to be honest, Justin, if there's one player that I'm going to put in a situation like that and say that he's going to make that decision and that call with 0.5 seconds left, because this is just my belief, but Giannis always, I feel like, just makes a decision for himself. He doesn't talk it over with anybody. So if he's at the line like that, I'm thinking. I mean, you look at his reach. He's got a long wingspan. He probably can tip it, and he thinks maybe. I don't know.
No, you can't with that little time.
Look at me. All I'm saying is if there's one player that I think is going to make that call, I'm not agreeing with Jerry on this, but if there's one player I think is going to make that call, it's Giannis. So I think the hot take is a little bit more understandable. If he said that it was like if this is a different player, like this is like Chris Middleton, no way. No one else on the Bucks is doing that.
Well, Jerry, I know that you know that 0.4 seconds isn't enough time. But if you know that, and I know that, Giannis sure as hell knows it, and he's not stepping up to the line saying, I'm going to intentionally miss.
Do you think he knows that?
I do. I know he knows it. He's a 2-time MVP.
Okay, but just because he knows that, do you think he's going to?
I also know he knows he's a good player. And I also know he thinks he can do more things than maybe he is able to.
That's why I'm saying I wouldn't put it past Giannis. I'm not saying I agree with the hot take, but I wouldn't put it past Giannis to make that decision last second.
It was a beeline, Justin. It wasn't like it's not like he was short. Like he obviously was short, but it was a beeline. Like it didn't even look like he was trying to make it in.
I've seen him airball free throws a number of times. He's not a good free throw shooter. He doesn't have a good stroke. It could have been accidental, and it was accidental. He definitely wasn't trying to lose that game on opening night.
I'm not arguing for Jerry, but I'm just adding more context to it. But when you look at
I know you're saying he was trying to win, but at the end of the day, trying to win in that scenario means you're trying to lose because there is no way to win. I don't know. It's an interesting thought. And all three of you all bring up great points. It's possible. I definitely find it hard to believe. I don't know if I can admit to agreeing with you. I just
think after seeing Tatum drop that shot, you're probably thinking to yourself, I don't want to go to overtime.
And while we're just talking about this game, I mean, this man, to say he has the it factor is the understatement of the year. This guy is just a winner. That shot was ridiculous. He intentionally switched on to Giannis. He wanted Giannis. And he just, shake and bake and step to the side.
That's another thing.
Way downtown off the window.
Here's my thing, Justin. Here's my thing with the whole Giannis thing. I'm not saying I agree with Jerry's hot take. But I will say, if you're Giannis and you're guarding Jason Tatum and Jason Tatum takes a shot like that with that many seconds left and makes it, you got to be shitting your pants because you know you're down.
I'm looking back at the play.
You're at the line, which is your weak point.
And you're at the line with your weak point, and you want to win the game as quickly as possible. And the only way to win the game is to dunk that shit or tip it in somehow. So I'm not saying he did it intentionally, but I will say that it definitely crossed his mind about that play.
It wasn't as hard as I thought it was, but I definitely think that.
I definitely think when he went up to the line, he definitely was thinking, "I'm going to try and tip it on."
Yeah, I don't know.
Not saying he did it. I'm not, he might have accidentally missed for real and he might have tried to go up and see, but I think he definitely was thinking the whole time when he took that shot, if I miss it, whether it's intentional or not, I'm going up for it.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you what, it is such an honor to have a guy on your team that goes up the floor when you're down 1 and says, "I want the defensive player of the year. I want the switch. I want him," and then takes a 3 for the win. Quit playing. Also, that foul when then there was 0.4 seconds on the inbound, they went for a lob to Giannis. Terrible foul call. So those free throws should never have even been shot because that was not a foul. That was so bad. That was so bad. That was not a foul. That was a bailout.
This is the point here. This is the point, Justin. It goes back to also the foul calls. Some of these guys wouldn't even be put at the line. Giannis.
Because Giannis is the second most shooting for. He's the second most.
Another thing is that when you go up to Giannis, Giannis is going to get anything called for him, in my opinion.
Oh, that was so frustrating because I was actually so pissed. I'm so glad that Tatum shot ended up being a game winner instead of just Giannis shooting, making both free throws.
It's just it's one of those things. Basketball is one of those. I mean, any sport's like this, but I think basketball, especially with these foul calls and at the line and people missing these important shots. I mean, you saw it yesterday with the Nets. The Nets start pulling away. Celtics just start falling off. Jalen wasn't hitting everything that he was before. And I'm not blaming
Jalen Brown. Jalen Brown has been arguably better than even JT so far. Jalen Brown's averaging 30 through 2.
Yesterday, I think it was a whole team thing. And also it wasn't just the team. It was just the Nets just played unbelievable defense and they just shot unbelievably offensively. But Jalen Brown was struggling. I mean, you see him coming up the court trying to pull up a 3, quick shot to get a 3 in, and he just, he bricks it. And it's just because of the great defense. And also there's so much pressure on him to make that shot. And now you're putting in Pritchard, you're putting in Semi, you're putting in all these younger guys to get the minutes because the game's already taken away at this point. So yesterday was a tough game for us, and I'm a little disappointed. But we gotta figure out our number one thing on this team is how do we beat the Nets? Because all the other teams I think we can do fine against, but how do we beat the Nets? This team right here is already I didn't know how scary DeAndre Jordan was going to be when he got a lob from Kyrie and absolutely dunked it on us.
Let me ask something, and then we'll go into that. But I want to hear John's what the fuck moment after. So let me ask a quick question because I do have a quick question for you boys.
Okay.
Do you think home court advantage, and this has been discussed, is a thing now that there are no fans there?
No.
We'll go around the table. Justin, what do you think?
It's a great question. I think yes. You're in the comfort of your own building. Whether there are fans or not, you're in your space. You know that floor better than anybody else. You get your own locker room. You get to just drive to the court. You get to drive to the game instead of having to fly and be on a team bus or whatever. I don't think it's certainly not nearly as big of a home court advantage as it used to be, and as it will be, knock on wood, when we get back to normal. But I do still think that it's some sort of advantage. I mean, it's a lot easier to play away, to play on the road than it used to be to play on the road. But I still think the home team will always have an advantage, no matter if there are fans in the buildings or not. Some sort of advantage.
Okay.
I think I'll go right after Justin and just say I ditto exactly what he just said. I think, I say the home court advantage no, because I'm thinking of more of an extreme situation. I'm thinking, fans got to be there or not, and it's not like that because you have to look at this in the player situation. For the players, you're on your court. You don't have to go anywhere. You can just drive right to the stadium, whatever. I do agree, though. That's a great point he brought up about the away team. The away teams, it's different, because now they don't have to deal with the fans. But for the home team, being in your own building, and I think the Celtics do it right with the banners down there. They mentioned that last night.
That is sick.
So let me just add on to that.
I didn't know they were going to do that.
So let me just add to Justin on that. When you have, what do we got? 17 championships. Let me just make sure I got that right.
Yes, sir.
17.
Yes, sir.
We got 17 banners. I only saw 8 lined up. So the other 17 got to be somewhere close by. And for other teams, especially when you're Celtics, Lakers, I think are the 2 big teams we got to talk about with that. That is so if you're at the free throw line and you just see all those banners back there, I mean, that's intimidating to me.
Are the Lakers doing it too?
I'm sure the Lakers got to be doing it. I mean, they got
I didn't actually notice it, but I know the Celtics are.
All I'm saying is that if the 2 teams that would do it to show off is the Lakers and Celtics, because with your 2 dominating teams and you're at the line and you're playing a team that has dominated the league for years, yeah, I'm going to shit my pants at the line. But
yeah, and what? Maybe that's what got in Giannis's head. Look at all those banners behind.
Look at all those banners. But here's what I am going to say: that doesn't beat a good fan sitting back there screaming his head off with the banners above him. But I will say that home field advantage definitely still exists. It's just greatly diminished with this whole pandemic. But again, you just gotta. It's really about the players going out there. It's really about the attitude the players have at the end of the day.
What are your thoughts?
you know the court better than anybody else. That's the part that gets me. I mean, fans, sure, one thing, but you're still gonna have that same feel. It's been the same way. I think there is still a feel.
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely.
Yeah,
What about you, Jerry? You agree?
I'll probably go against everyone here.
Oh,
Sure,
I agree with all your points.
hey, is this your hot take? Or we're not there yet?
My hot take had to do with the Nets, but it's not really. It's not that hot. It was more, the Giannis thing was more hot.
Save it for next time.
Harden going to the Nets, because I feel like we haven't touched upon that this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning it. We were doing really well without it.
But, whatever.
But yeah, so you think there is no home court advantage, Jay?
So here's the thing. I agree with you, Justin, on the fact that it is your home court. As an away team, you still have to travel, so that part isn't taken away. But what I've seen, at least with these two games in Boston, is one, there's not really like any incentive to the refs to give any calls to the home team. I think when there are fans in the building, not only is it very loud and there's a lot of, kind of pressure against the away team just by the fans screaming at you, I think there's a lot of pressure on the refs to give more calls. Not that every ref is biased like that, but there is more pressure for the refs to give calls to the home team because they don't want to they don't want to hear the bullshit from the fans. And any person who says that the refs aren't affected by the fans, fucking bullshit, because
you're absolutely right. I didn't even think about it that way, but it's a great point. I completely didn't think about it like that.
All refs, whether even some of the greatest refs, get sometimes pressured by the fans. And that's nothing against refs. It's a hard job. One of the hardest jobs, I think, in sports. But
it is.
Like, I think that the fans, not only what you have to think about is the appeal that they have to the away team, in the sense that they're constantly giving shit to the away team. There's also a pressure on the refs to give calls to, because the refs aren't hearing. They're not hearing it from the automated fan noise. Like, that's not like anything real. So
Right.
I think from that point, there's a lot lost. But I will agree with you on the court thing, and then just in the overall aspect of traveling.
That's kind of an interesting thing that I just thought of right now, and we don't have to talk about it now, but maybe we'll talk about it another time. But I was just thinking, would you rather have like a system that was automated so that they always get the right call, or would you rather have it so that
no?
So
gotta have human.
my answer would be no as well. But I'm just thinking here because honestly, the human error with refs is that it's a give and take. You're going to get a call for you and you're going to get a call against you. I mean, if you go back in time, you look at the Tuck rule with Brady, you look at some of the things that, calls. We got screwed with the Bruins and the Blues, but the Blues got the fort. I mean, it happened the vice versa in 2010 and 2011. It happens every single year. So I just want to pose that question. Yeah, but I would agree with you.
There's got to be human error, just because there's so many calls that, like, if you had like an automated system do it, it wouldn't like completely get the whole situation.
It's true, it would be fair.
Baseball for a minute too, because think about the strike zone, right? So you have an ump behind the plate. We have the technology now to have a real strike zone, and you can just
that makes more sense.
And they were talking about that
than anything else. Like, that's something where I would be like, all right, like that makes.
What do you think about that, Damon? What do you think about that?
So they were talking about that with the pandemic too, because they didn't want the ump behind the plate, so they were going to have. I think there was something about that. But
they call it automatically from the box.
Yeah, and it just doesn't feel the same because it's a pastime, right? We've had this for years. Why would we change it? And it's part of the game. Think about. I mean, I agree with Jerry with the point. The fans do have a say, and they kind of like you want to just scream like bullshit. It's part of what it is. Like,
it's a great question though.
Yeah, I think that makes more sense to me than like an NBA or an NFL, because
how boring would it be?
Of like,
there's a
compare that to something else, because that's like actually legit. Like, because I can see that a little more and be like okay with it, but I don't know.
And I mean, let me just say it now. I mean, look, let's just go back to our Austin days when I was outside on the court with all you boys for Jerry's games, and there was a shit call, or at the hockey games and there's a shit call. I mean, you hate it, but it just gets you all fired up. And if anything, that just makes you want to get out there and just, I'm just shitting at the refs. JP's got to come over and tell me to stop. And
I just think there's more.
Like
you said, you have the you have the court, and there's still the travel aspect for the away team. But the fans, I definitely do think make an impact both on the away team and the refs, because I think the refs are more inclined to give calls. Like there were some calls in that Bucks Celtics game that I was just scratching my head. Like there were and ones missed and there were foul. Like it was weird. And I was like, well, and if there were fans in this building, that shit would never fly. Like, and I'm sure Brad would have challenged. There were some calls where I'm like, Brad, why?
He got a tech yesterday because he kept mouthing off a little bit. I think.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Under his mask. I think he was a little pissed off with how everything was being called.
That's not like Brad, but yeah. But yeah, we can.
He never does that.
We can move
on.
Yeah,
what's your what the fuck moment, John?
All right, so here's my what the fuck moment. Let me just open it up with. I had so much respect for this player, so much respect, young guy, and we're talking NFL now. So we're switching gears a little bit. Young guy, have so much respect. Juju Smith. Okay, have respect.
Oh yeah. This is what it has to be. It had to be.
I think it had to be. I was looking. I didn't want to do this because I really am gonna rage at this one. And I was trying to find some other moment, but you know what? It's got to be said. I respected him as a player. I still respect him, but he has lost a lot of my respect because I don't care who you are. If it was my player too, I would say the exact same thing. I think it is absolutely disrespectful to go onto another team's field and step on their logo purposely. Like we can just relate it right to Kyrie burning sage in the building. I think that stuff is disrespectful. I don't care if you're religious. I don't care if you have a ritual. There comes a difference between a ritual and just completely that was Kyrie's first time in the building in how long? And he comes in there and immediately burns sage. Like that is purpose and intentional. Like he's trying to get into our heads and trying to do something. Voodoo shit. So fuck that. Get out of my house. I hope you burn the stake like in the Salem witch trials. Let me just tell you right now. Again, I don't hate Juju as much as I hate Kyrie, so I'm not going to get on that level. But Juju, and what makes it worse for me is you go on TikTok and you're posting. You got these little two footballs in here, like you're manhandling some ball sacks, and you're just going back and forth with them, and you're hanging a little dance. What the hell is that? All right. You're a grown-ass man.
And he calls himself out after. He's like, I'm not going to do that anymore.
And then, Dave, I'm getting to that. Don't worry. And you're a grown-ass man. And then what you got to do after that, let's just go to the next part. The Steelers have lost how many in a row?
3.
3 in a row. And they would have won. I told last week, I said, this is a game that the Steelers have to win, or the Steelers have proven to me that they are not a team that can actually win.
Yeah, I remember you saying it, and it's absolutely true.
This game is the one game, like Washington's still better than the Bengals. All the other teams that they lost to are better than the Bengals. The Bengals are honestly one of the worst teams right now in the league because they're struggling without Joe Burrows and everything. And they lose to the Bengals. And you know what? I'm glad they did. And I'm glad that Juju got lit up. And I'm glad that he ruined the game for them. Karma came to him. And you know what? Then he goes on afterwards on TikTok, wherever he was, and he said, I shouldn't have done that. I've been advised not to do that anymore. You haven't been advised shit. You made that decision yourself, and you told yourself not to do it anymore because you did that.
I think actually Mike Tomlin, the Steelers coach, said they asked him right after that game, "Are you aware of Juju dancing on logos and you guys are losing games?" And he was like, "Yeah, I am aware of it, and me and Juju have to speak about that." So it might have been his coach that told him yes, which is even worse.
And I'm not saying it. Again, Steelers fans, whoever you are, if you're listening. I'm not shitting on you. Your team is still very talented, but you can't be dancing on other teams' logos and saying, "Oh, we almost went undefeated. Oh, we're still 11-3, 12-3, whatever." You literally have lost to 3 of the worst teams. The Pats suck this year, but I am at least proud to be a Patriots fan because we didn't play a bunch of easy-ass teams and then lose to some of the worst teams. We lost some hard-fought games. We played some of the 3 toughest teams. We played the Ravens. We played the Chiefs. A lot of those games, it looked like we were going to win. So I can't have Steelers fans coming out here saying all this shit because I don't care if it was Brady. I don't care if it's Edelman. I don't care who it is that does this. I wouldn't allow it if I'm a coach or if I'm a fan. I don't want my fan base. I don't want to be the team that does that because that is such a low thing. And I told you guys before also, I hate the Bengals because of Vontaze Burfict, a bunch of all of that shit back then. And you know what? I'm glad that they lit Juju the fuck up because he needed that wake-up call.
Well, Justin and I watched that game, and then after that hit, the Bengals posted on their Instagram, should we post this on TikTok?
And you know what? You know what to the Bengals this once? to the Bengals this once. So Justin, you can tell your brother Tristan this once. I will respect them for that one time that they did something right. Because you know what? Because you know what? If a player does this, I mean, I think again, I'm not saying this correct because I don't remember who it was, but I think it was Terrell Owens. I think it was T.O. way back in the day against I don't know who it was, but he ran after a touchdown to the center logo and smacked the ball down. It was some wide receiver, very cocky, very similar to Juju, and he did that. Now Juju's different. He's dancing on it. Not the same, and it wasn't during the game, but still. I think any way it is, it's disrespectful. There's a difference between...
Oh, it definitely is blatant disrespect.
There's Gronk, too. I mean, Gronk, it's like in a different way, and it's more respectable, I guess.
Wait, Gronk?
It's like his way of just...
Spike?
Yeah.
You talking about the Gronk spike in the end zone?
Well, yeah. I'm talking about...
That's not disrespectful, though.
It's like the way he acts. It's something that, like... I don't know where I'm
if you want to do your dance in the end zone,
that's like something that's respectable.
End zone celebrations, I think, are
to do.
Yeah, end zone celebrations, I think, are fine.
Now, if you're going across the field to the center logo, that's just it's not that impressive. You got a touchdown. How many touchdowns do you have?
I think are fine. I think if you're celebrating the end zone, you got a touchdown. Like that was your.
Yeah. But again, my whole point here is no.
Yeah, I know what you mean. There's ways to make it disrespectful, though. I think. Did you guys see Kamara's first touchdown yesterday?
Yeah.
He was very slow running into the end zone, just looking.
No, he kept looking over his shoulder at the guy.
A little disrespectful, but even that, I was like, yeah, that's their bad.
That's fine with me. That's fine with me. But yeah,
I mean, he has when you're on the line like that for the end zone, it is disrespectful. But you have a defender behind you. The defender knows he's not going to tackle you into the end zone.
The thing, I think, the thing about the Steelers was they just could never in that game
And you know what? I just don't care what any Steelers fan can come out to me and say our team is good. I'm not going to argue with you. You got a great team, but I'm not going to give you the respect that I had for you. I'm not going to give you any respect that I have for. I honestly have much more respect for other teams that have got even some other teams have just had a harder schedule than the Steelers themselves. And the Ravens are a team that should be the record that the Steelers have, which I forget off the top of my head. It should be, what is it, 11-3, 12-3,
11-3, I believe.
11-3.
11-3. That's just and to make matters worse, you go from undefeated. This is why I call it the what the fuck moment. And honestly, it's the what the fuck moment for the whole year.
It could be. Yeah, it definitely. Yeah.
Because when you are a team that's undefeated, you lose a terrible, terrible game. And you saw Juju's face after that game. Just all of their faces. And then immediately he continues to do this. And then you play the Bills, one of the tougher teams that you're honestly going to lose. They lose.
You shouldn't have done that in Buffalo.
And you don't do that in Buffalo. And you know what? It's just karma now because now you do it in Cincinnati. And you know what? Here's my thing. I honestly think that team went in there to Cincinnati thinking they were going to win easily. And
100%.
Go in there thinking that. The Patriots didn't never, Belichick drilled it in their heads never to think that way. And when you go into any game and you play it differently based on the team's record, it just goes to show the Bengals can still win games. They may not be great, but they can still beat the hell out of you.
Cincinnati's an aggressive team. I think
they're not a bad team. They just have they just don't play well all the time. That's all.
They just don't play well together. But
when you see someone like that dancing on your logo, if anything, that just lights the fire under your ass, and you're just lighting that firecracker off and going right at them.
I don't know.
That's just my what the fuck moment. Again,
it's a good one. I don't know if you saw Joe Mixon after that game. He didn't play, but he was in Cincy after that game. He was driving around in his convertible Corvette, driving all around Cincy, just blasting that TikTok song, just say Corvette. This guy was just going. It was hilarious. It was so funny. He was just driving all around Cincinnati.
I think honestly, that's the win for the Bengals this season. Do it. Honestly, get that out.
Oh, that was definitely the best moment for.
You're not winning a Super Bowl ever, so do it now.
I'm sure that felt real good, especially against their division rival. And I'm sure that felt real good for Cincinnati.
I mean, the Steelers and Bengals always go far back with their aggressiveness against one another. It's just
it's how it goes. I mean, I think if you're the Steelers, you just got to realize you need to take your shit more seriously.
I hope
they have some soul searching to do. They got some soul searching going into the playoffs because if I'm a betting man, I'm telling you right now, they're going to be a first round bounce. That if I had to guess, I could see that happening for sure.
I can tell you right now, if I'm any guy betting in Las Vegas, I'm not betting on the Steelers at this point.
I mean,
But
they just seems like on paper they should work. Like, I mean, they got all the pieces.
they do work, but the problem is that when you have a team like that and you're letting Chase Claypool make record numbers like he did in college, I'm sorry to say it, okay? But the NFL is so much different than college. And I might be wrong here. I'm not saying Chase Claypool is not a great player. I just don't think he should be hitting the numbers that he should have in his rookie season, the same as he did in his college season. And the reason that I'm leaning towards this is because the schedule they had was very light with teams. And I think that a lot of those teams struggled to cover Claypool. If I pick the Steelers, schedule for myself and put some more tough teams in there, I don't think Claypool would have had as record a season as he did. I think he would have still played very well. And I think the Steelers would have still maybe made the playoffs. I just don't think that they would have been what they are right now. They've been overhyped so much.
Yeah, I'll end on this. I think Claypool's a good player. I respect him more than Juju. I think Juju knows.
Yeah.
At least Claypool continuously works, and he even posted on TikTok after if that was me, if I was on the Steelers, I would have deleted the app. I would have just if I had the app, I would have.
It's time.
But he at least had the audacity to post after and be like, yeah, I gotta fucking get back to it. But I don't know. I think,
and he should have. So let's just say
I think I'll just end with the Steelers gotta. Justin put it perfectly. They got some soul searching to do. You are 11-3 still, and you have the chance to close out the season well. But you have to realize that the playoffs is the playoffs. No one gives a shit about your records after the playoffs.
Your record means nothing. Your record means nothing. I mean, hell, you have I think the Washington Redskins are making the playoffs right now, right? Washington Redskins are going to make the playoffs. And
at that point, football team. Let's not be disrespectful.
Oh, shit. Sorry. Football. Bleep. Sorry. For all people. Football team. Sorry. Old habits. The Washington football team is going to make the playoffs. And at that point, you've already lost to them. And that was a really tough game for you. Honestly. The Washington football team came out to play.
Well, they're in the NFC though, so it doesn't matter.
They are in the NFC. So you're gonna you won't have to play them again. If the Washington football team makes it to the Super Bowl and the Steelers do, I think I'm gonna just
that would have to be the worst Super Bowl of all time.
I think I'm just gonna go ahead and jump out a window and break my television. So tell me to blow out the candles already on that one.
Yeah, definitely a good what the fuck moment, John.
Definitely good, John. We'll move on. We had a segment today, Naughty or Nice. So this is our kind of clip for this episode, Naughty or Nice. So we're gonna just name a couple things. This is NBA edition. We're gonna name a couple of things, and we're gonna place them both on either the naughty list or the nice list. It can be anything. It can be play style, boys, or it can just be you can even add bias in this. Go ahead.
Let me address this beforehand. So something that's a totally an awesome move, or they have something awesome. I don't know what you have for the players, but if it's an awesome move, would we put that that's naughty? He disrespected that.
Based on the player, for me,
here's the thing. You can just hear the player, and then you can just be naughty list.
I'm gonna tell you right now. I'll give you an example,
and I'm sure you'll have a reason for it. All right.
Let me give you an example. I don't know if you already have this one up there, but Kyrie's deep.
Shut up. Let me just start the segment.
Start the segment.
All right.
Okay.
All right. First, naughty or nice list. James Harden.
James
Harden's on the naughty.
Definitely naughty. Definitely naughty. This guy's been wheeling at the strip clubs. This guy's been skipping training camp. He's just trying to get traded. In fact, the Rockets have their first game tonight, and DeMarcus Cousins, John Wall, Eric Gordon, James Harden all can't play because of COVID tracing. So it's all James Harden's fault. He's definitely on the naughty list.
Just because this guy wants a little booty and he wants his dollar bills going into the air, he's now screwed the whole team over on their opening season.
He's going on the naughty list for me.
He's going on the naughty list, and I'll tell you right now, he ain't getting booty. He ain't getting booty from Santa.
He didn't even defend it that well. He's I was just at the club supporting my girls. And I was like, dude, shut up. Just shut up. But all right.
Very nice of him.
We can all agree. All right, ready? Naughty or nice list. Giannis.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna go with a nice naughty because of Jerry's hot take. Because I don't know whether he did it intentionally. I don't care if he did it intentionally or not. But he screwed that game over. And honestly, I feel a little naughty because I'm just gonna go backwards in time to a little bit of a petty Giannis when he unfollows all his players on Instagram. That's a little naughty to me.
I'm gonna go naughty list.
Well, to be fair though, he only follows his 7 family members.
No,
so
I don't care.
Follow anything else.
I don't care.
Yeah, okay.
I don't care. No. Because he followed them, and then he purposely, intentionally unfollowed them. So that's a naughty list.
I did hear about that. Yeah. So
that's a naughty list.
I'm bored.
What do you put him? Or Damon? Yeah, you guys.
I feel like he doesn't do anything that's really harmful. He kind of just is there doing his thing. I'm gonna keep him on the nice list unless I can really think of a reason. I forgot about the unfollowing, so that kind of. But we're all guilty of that. Not to that extent. We've all unfollowed people.
Yeah,
I'll put him on the nice list.
I'll put him on the nice list too, actually, because I also he re-signed in Milwaukee. He's gonna stay in the small market team. I'm happy he did that. He's hit a couple threes in the opening 2 games. He's looking.
All right. How about this? I'll do this. Ready? I won't be giving McColl the size of the brick of a shot he shot in his free throw, but
you don't have to go back on your opinion, bro. We're supposed to be different.
No. I'm saying I'm not giving him a Cole the size of that brick shot he shot, but I'm still giving him a Cole. He's still going on the naughty list.
The size of that brick that he shot. I like it.
I think Giannis is a good player, and I like him, but I just think he thinks he's better than he is, and I think he has the potential to be one of the, if not the best player in this league, but he's just holding himself back. So I'm putting him on the naughty list for that reason. Okay.
Agreed.
So we got we got Harden, we got Giannis. All right, Blake Griffin.
Okay, you know what?
Blake. What's he been doing in the news lately?
Just gonna go with
nothing. That's why I'm putting him on the nice list.
I'm gonna go with one reason for the nice list, because he's been doing nothing wrong, and also because he just has some holiday cheer in his system. He's just ho 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 right at what's his name when he tries to throw him on the court. Got some holiday cheer.
Oh, yeah, right. Thomas Bryant. Yeah.
Bryant.
He's just always so joyful. I like him. I'll keep him on the nice list.
He's got a bowl full of jelly. He's just absolutely.
He's a good player.
Red in the cheeks.
Yeah.
He's a good player that doesn't have a lot of drama with him. So
he's nice list easily.
Nice list.
Nice.
And what the Pistons have going there with Derrick Rose mentoring Killian Hayes, and now Blake Griffin can mentor Jeremy Grant. It's perfect. That's great. They're a bad team who will just have some good vets to mentor some good young pieces. So I like it. I'll keep him on the nice.
Definitely.
It's a good haul.
All right. The Paul George.
Paul George, definitely nice list. This guy had probably the worst summer, or I guess off-season, not summer, worst off-season of his entire life. He was definitely just miserable all off-season because of the way he played in the playoffs. And his opening 2 games, the opening night, the Battle of LA on the first night of the restart was unbelievable. I mean, he was just lights out. So
I was
wet.
watching those.
I mean, this guy was not missing anything. Absolutely cash.
I couldn't stay up that late to watch them finish that game, but I watched the final minutes on highlights, and oh my god, and looking at the box score too, this guy just absolutely lit it up.
I mean, I think he was like 13 of 18 or something, had like over 30 points, and just wasn't missing, like just so efficient. Like I don't think I saw him miss.
So honestly, Paul George goes on the nice list because this guy's been struggling. He struggled. The Clippers.
Yeah, put him on the nice list because he's been struggling, and
he signed that huge deal, so he needed to play.
That's what I was gonna say. He signed the huge contract. So
and you know what? Honestly, nice list because he comes back to the Clippers, the team that he absolutely choked with, and they just lost a playoff run that honestly I had expected them to go far. I expected them to go a lot farther.
He had a lot of pressure on him to perform well with that contract, and so far he's been proving himself. So
he's proven himself.
Give it nice.
So Jason Tatum.
100% nice. Did I just tell you what my player of the week was? This man's just. We all say nice list.
Quit playing. Nice.
Justin's just gotta pull up his shirt and just cover his mouth, and that's it.
Nice is just such an understatement. I mean, this guy is he's the best kid in the world. Santa's got some good shit for him.
I'll tell you right this. Right. He better be getting like, the best Christmas gifts and best Christmas sex from his girlfriend or whatever for that playoff performance. Because I'm gonna say it. Put it on the thumbnail. Put it on whatever you want. I don't care. Bleep me out. But you play that well.
All right.
Facts, man. I hope he's got a couple. I hope he's got a couple ladies helping him out.
I hope he goes to the strip club instead of Harden.
All right. The Kyrie KD duo.
100% naughty list. 100% hate them.
Yeah.
I hope the sage that they burns them.
I will. I'll go.
Hear me out.
You go, Jerry.
I'm gonna put him on the nice list.
No, God.
Individually, I hate them both. Kyrie burning sage in TD is probably one of the most disgraceful things.
So are you saying them together like a duo?
But them together as a duo and how they're working well together.
Okay. Them working together is nice.
They're kind of nice.
But them individually and just how we are biased, naughty. Okay.
They're kind of.
Yeah, I don't know what we're evaluating here. Like, are we evaluating them?
Like the duo. What do you think?
The way it's worked in the first week here.
Oh yeah, the way it's worked, nice list. The way it's worked, nice list.
That was nice.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely putting them on the nice list. In fact, I even have a hotter take than that. I think that these two are going to be the best duo in the league this year. And that might not even be that hot of a take, considering Kevin Durant might be the best scorer ever. But I think the Nets are going to be incredible. And what I've seen so far, they are just unbeatable. It looks like they're unbeatable.
You still have DeAndre and Dinwiddie and LeVert. You still have all these great players. It's just we had so many people to cover, and then we started getting double teamed at the end.
My original hot take was that they were going to be the 1 seed.
I don't think it's that hot of a take. I think I agree with you.
But I didn't think it was because, honestly, they're just blowing every team out. So, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, their point differential through the first two is something crazy.
I think
they've won by 30 both times at least.
I think the only way that they lose that number 1 seed is if they absolutely lose, like, DeAndre Jordan and maybe Kyrie to an injury. That's it.
Honestly, I thought it wasn't going to work. But, honestly, like, Caris LeVert and Dinwiddie have kind of accepted their roles in, like, it's been working.
I actually love Caris LeVert off the bench. Yeah. Off the bench, he can have the ball in his hands all he wants. Yeah. He's like off the bench. Caris LeVert, he might win 6th man of the year. In fact, if I'm making a hot take on my 6th man of the year prediction, I haven't thought about it much, but I'm thinking about it now, and I'd say Caris LeVert's probably my.
So what do you? So let me just say one thing. What the fuck are you doing? Taking Jerry's whole bit? Aren't you gonna tell him these on the side so he can have?
I keep saying I have so many hot takes flowing into my brain. So many hot takes, and it's crazy, man. The Nets look really, really good. That's all I have to say is that the Nets look really, really good, and I'm scared that they're in the East. I'm scared to play them. I'm scared to go through them in the playoffs. But at the end of the day, we'll see how the season goes on because it is Kyrie and KD, and I think mid-season they could have some issues. But for now, I mean, they're as good as any team in the entire league.
For now, it's good. But yeah, my last one, we'll wrap up. But my last one for the Naughty or Nice is the Golden State Warriors.
Okay, yeah. Here's my thing.
Good for them.
I'm not going to say naughty because here's the reason. I'm not going to judge them naughty or nice based on an unfortunate accident with this whole Klay Thompson thing. Because Klay Thompson is a great player. Steph's a great player. I don't love the Golden State Warriors. But at the end of the day, you lose Klay, that fucks you up. Wiseman's still playing. He's still a prospective player. But you hate to see a guy like that you lose on the team because Golden State had so much potential to come back this season. And they're struggling now. Well, I mean, we saw that last game they played. Absolutely blown out of the water. And I don't think
both of them.
Both of them. I don't think,
blown out
and
twice.
I don't think
like one of them.
I don't think that is the blame should be necessarily on any one person because not only do you have just a shock to your whole entire culture and fan base with Klay Thompson gone, but now you have to work with what you got, younger players, and the team just has to, evolve and work and adapt with that.
Something like a total of 62 points, like between the two games.
But here's my thing.
I think it's even more. Yeah, they're the second. They have the second worst point differential of any team ever. The only team worse through 2 games was like the 87 Clippers or something. Yeah, but yeah, it's like you said, Jerry. It's like 65 point minus 65 point.
But here's where I'll go with this. I'm not saying that they're on the nice list because of their performance or anything. But I'm not going to put them on the naughty list just because they've struggled without a Klay Thompson and just with this whole new,
Yeah, that's fair, John. I'm going to put them on the naughty list, and here's why. I did not, even losing Klay Thompson, I did not think they would lose these first 2 games this badly. Like, this is...
Well, this badly, yeah. I don't think we thought they were going to lose this bad.
Like, bad. Like, they don't have Klay, but they still have other players on their team that can, they have Steph, they got... Wiseman, I think they have other guys that could produce, and just to see them lose like this, like bad, is just.
There isn't an excuse to lose by 65 points in 2 games. Like there's no excuse.
No, I guess I'm gonna put him on the naughty list too. It's not because of Steph Curry. Steph Curry's doing everything he can. He's getting doubled. He's getting swarmed. He's getting he is having a tough time, and it's because he needs to rely on Wiggins and Oubre to make baskets, and Wiggins and Oubre have both been horrible in their first 2 games, which will turn around. Maybe not Wiggins, but Oubre will play better. Oubre's been horrific, like so bad. And it's also they played the Nets and the Bucks. I'm not going to judge them off 2 games.
Yeah,
I'm not out on the Warriors. I do still think they could be a playoff team. I'm not out on Steph Curry. I think he could still be an MVP candidate. I just think this was a very, very tough way to start a season.
Yeah, that's true.
In Brooklyn and then in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
So very, very tough. But yeah, they've been playing really bad. So I guess I gotta put them on the naughty list. They're real bad. I do like the way James Wiseman looks though. He looks pretty good.
Oh, he does look good. He does.
What about you, Dan?
I'll agree with what Justin said.
All right, then I guess we'll close there, boys. If you guys have anything.
We'll
I was just gonna say one thing on the NHL. Just confirmation on what we assumed last week, though. January 13th is opening night. April 12th is going to be the trade deadline. May 8th will be the end of the regular season. So kind of it looks like a shorter season for this whole thing. Which
it's
looks
56
like
games. It's 56 games.
Yeah.
And they'd split up all the divisions into 7 teams, or about 7. I think there's one that might be one
6
more,
or
one
7.
less, or whatever it is. Yeah, and you play that same 7 teams 8 times each, and that gets you to 56. So you literally just play the same 7 teams 8 times each all season. So it's gonna be boring. Like you're just playing the same 7 teams all year. You're gonna have 8 game series versus all these teams.
Justin and I mentioned.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan. I guess
Justin and I mentioned this. You're not gonna have much, diversity with these teams. You're not going to be playing teams that have a more depth, more offensive, more defensive, way of playing. And you're also not going to be playing I'd say, but we have 3 rivals really that Justin and I think we got to play. And
Montreal, Toronto, and Tampa. I mean, we lose all 3.
But I think of those 2, we need to play Toronto and Tampa at least 3 times. I mean, every season we have to play them a couple times to know how we're going to play against them. We need to feel them out.
It's going to be a very different NHL season. It's kind of weird to see the way the NBA started up, and it's so normal. I mean, you're flying to every team's individual city, individual building. You have the normal schedule. The conferences are all the same. And then you look at the NHL, and they've shortened their season by so much, 82 to 56. You're completely rearranging all of your divisions. You're playing the same 7 teams 8 times. It's a completely different season, which looking at the way other sports have worked, it didn't seem like you needed to do that. But
my whole hot take on that one, Justin, just going to take Jerry's bit again, is the reason they're doing that, I think, because you're looking at these time slots. You got the end of regular season is May 8th. So then you're going to have postseason kind of around when you usually would have it, roughly, maybe. And then what you're going to have the expansion draft in July with the NHL draft and then free agency towards almost August. So what I think they're trying to do here is I think they're trying to get back to a normal hockey season when they normally started, which I'm not upset with. But I honestly think that with this whole thing, you just got to start from scratch and just pick the new dates if you have to. But I think they're trying to go back to the old system, so they're shortening the season, trying to get it so that you're lining up so that the next time you start your season, it's going to be the right time. And you can have the 82-game season, and you can end right in the almost summertime. So, but it doesn't mean I'm going to be happy about this. Whoever wins the cup this year, I don't think is going to be 100% deserving of it because, I'm not saying that they won't be great team.
I don't want to go that far.
I don't want to go that far, but the thing is that you're not playing every team. So we can argue it about it another time. I just think it's going to be very different.
Yeah, we'll talk about that another time more. But yeah, no, once the season starts, we'll talk about it a lot more. But yeah, interesting that they had to do it so differently when every other league found a way to do it pretty much the same. But
One quick thing to add, and this is very quick. From Woj, after a 4-day quarantine, Rockets James Harden traveled to Portland and will play against the Blazers tonight.
No way.
Wow.
But Boogie, John Wall, and Eric Gordon still can't. That's funny.
He screwed them over, but now he's going to come out and play.
I've never really heard of a 4-day quarantine, but I guess that's a thing.
Because John Wall and DeMarcus and them have 7 days at least, I think I saw. So, yeah. That's funny that he gets the all-star treatment.
It feels like for athletes, it's like, hey, stay in your room for a day and you're good.
But yeah, I was just gonna end on that. But
yeah, right, well, it was a good episode, boys. Merry Christmas to everybody. Have a good New Year. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Talk to you boys later. As always, if you've made it this far, please like and subscribe.
Facts.
Well,
love you all.
It's been real, boys.